monocle.
Is
Bionicle.
that when I was talking about monocles? Bionicles? Yeah. Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one. I realize those are my favorite parts is when we get a real peek into your brain because it's a scary place in
It's a
there.
dark cavern that once you're too deep in, Dan, you can never get out, and it's a real problem.
Dark or empty.
That's why it's dark.
It's dark because it's so empty.
Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. Hey, watch him with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I'm Dan.
And I'm Tony.
We watch movies. I always want to say we watch movies for a living, and then I realize we make we essentially lose money by doing
which
this
is
in our lives.
Pretty much everything that I do in life. All of my endeavors just give out money.
We watch movies for the kicks of it.
Yeah.
And this month, and then we make fun of them because we're born comedians, gonna die comedians. Poor comedians, die poor comedians.
Some of us relatively soon. I'm not going to point fingers. Probably this guy.
And this whole month we're doing video game inspired related movies. And Tony, tell us about your pick for this week.
My pick is, I believe, the second feature film based off of a video game. And the bar was set pretty low. I think we can all agree on that. And then Double Dragon came and just kicked it right out of the water, because this movie, I believe, did terrible at the box office, but that's a bummer because I enjoyed it.
It did like $41 million on like a $71 million budget. 1994, hour and 35 minutes. And I'm with you. I do not see the issue with this movie.
Especially for a 90s. It's one of... Like, when I was watching, I was like, God, this feels so 90s. I don't know why it was hated so much.
When did the first Turtles movie come out?
91?
And I think that was when it ended. I think that Turtles movie came out and was very popular, but I think that's when we transitioned from the 1980s to the 1990s. And by 94... people didn't want to see this movie anymore. This kind of movie, which is corny, fun, action, not giant consequences. Although main character does die, it just, it's like they were looking at this movie and they were expecting it to be made for everyone.
Yeah.
As opposed to for a 13-year-old boy on a summer afternoon. That's what this movie is. This movie is, It is not, and it's interesting because they talked about, what's his name, coming here from Terminator, right? Robert
Patrick, the T-1000.
The T-1000, and you just think about that movie versus this movie, and I really think that someone was expecting Double Dragon to be like that, and no,
not at all. I mean, I was a kid. I wonder when Turtles 2 came out. I think that's the real test, because Turtles 1 was actually a little bit more serious, and like, you know, like Raph is like in the tub or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, there's stakes, and this movie's incredible. And then Turtles 2 was the silly slapstick funny thing, which would be more in line with this movie, I think. But I feel like Turtles 2 did pretty good. Maybe it didn't. I don't know. Either way, I enjoyed this movie. It's silly, it's dumb, but you know, there's some cool stuff in it. In the world, this might just be me, but I actually really dug this post-apocalyptic, like, gangs. I don't know, I thought it was really cool.
What this movie did is it took all the sort of cornball B-movie tropes and then glued them together.
Yeah.
And then tried to make a fun, slapsticky movie. I just watched this guy's like 20-minute review where he talked about it getting made and talked about the movie, and he's like, this bears nothing to do with the games. And you watch the games are nothing.
Yeah. Well, your girlfriend gets kidnapped and then you have to fight a bunch of dudes for no reason, and then at the end of the game, spoiler alert, the end of the game, your brother is the bad guy. Like whichever brother you choose, the other brother
really?
ends up being the bad guy at the end. Yeah, which is like a fun, but there's no real story. Like what? I don't know.
And then this guy was talking, kind of essentially saying, yeah, people weren't going to like this movie because they were going to go in there as big Double Dragon fans and not get the content that they wanted.
What did they want? Like, just them walking down the sidewalk, punching people, and then just keep on moving. Ha, ha, ha. Like, that's dumb.
And one of the other indictments was they came out with a terrible cartoon, like right after this.
They did do that.
And you're like, what does that have to do with any? I mean, it's a terrible cartoon. That's not going to affect how this thing does at the box office.
But Dan, the cartoon is terrible. I watched the first episode last night because the first episode is available for free on Amazon Prime as soon as you wrapped this. It was on the like this. So we watched the first episode. It was dreadful. And it doesn't. It's even further away from like the plot of the game. So
they're
weird.
Like super roided up,
super buff, and I don't know. It was really weird. I pick this movie any day.
And I think that's what the problem is there's so many conflicting things. People thought this was going to be this kind of movie, and it wasn't that kind of movie, and they expected this, and they got this, and it just leaves. It left this movie no room at the box office to succeed, and it's kind of sad because I also think maybe 90s kids had started to change and we're not the same as 80s kids where Goonies is like the greatest movie of their lives.
Yeah, I wonder when Mortal Kombat came out. Because that was in my childhood, that was like our shift into what we called maturity. And by maturity, I meant we wanted like guts and blood and like someone to rip down someone's throat and tear out their spinal cord. Because that was a finishing move on Mortal Kombat. And it was amazing. So like there's a chance that we might have gone to the dark side. And this was like, oh, this is for kids, man. And I was like 9 at the time. But still.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if there was a transition in the youth where they wanted something. They did not want corny good fun. They wanted, darkness. And that's one of the other movies I compared this to is Escape from New York.
Ooh, yeah.
A bunch of sort of similar-y kind of corny thing. I mean, there's a bunch of corny stuff in Escape from New York, and we love it. And also Big Trouble in Little China.
Yep.
That movie's totally corny.
Yeah.
We love the corniness of that. People hate the corniness of this movie. It's just
weird. What is that based on? Just like because you don't want to like it? They're just like, you know what? No, that one's dumb. But like this one's great because for no reason. Poor Scott Wolf.
Poor Scott Wolf.
Beautiful.
Wolf. Does this movie have a ton of deficiencies? Oh, of course it does.
Sure.
Because it's,
it's dumb.
It's dumb. So we start off with a big voiceover. We learn that there's this mystical medallion, 2 parts, body, soul. We go to this Chinese village. This villain with a whip comes in there. And
I love that it just says somewhere in China. Like, why even give us a title if it's just going to be so vague like that? Just like, I don't know, somewhere in the Eastern. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, I think that's sort of, watching this other guy's show, he picked up some information, and I guess the guy, Paul Dini, did a script, and then the producer threw that out, and then these other guys came in and did the script, and it was so funny because this guy's talking about all these people that worked on it, and he's like, yeah, they're the guys that went on to do Breaking Bad. And you're kind of like,
what?
They're the guys that went on to do Breaking Bad, and then they brought in this comedian guy. And it's so funny because this guy sets it up like, I'm going to tell you all the garbage these guys did, and then they're like, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Like,
yeah, that's not garbage.
Then they brought this comedian in who added a lot of the jokes.
Sure.
And they're like, yeah, he just went on to make the 70s show.
What? one of the longer running sitcoms of
with just really good, solid characters and joke writing, and
who made this video, Dan?
People like us that want to. But that was so funny. Is like this is somehow a complaint about this guy.
That's what I'm
He's
saying.
The asshole that made the 70s show.
Some idiot made a stupid sitcom that ran for like a decade. What a dum-dum.
And turned everyone in the series into stars,
right,
who continued on their careers and made movies and done whatever they wanted.
Except for maybe Donna, the redhead. Did she burst out?
I think she left. She made so much money. She
really?
lives on
she
a
was
horse
like,
ranch.
Peace out. That's the dream, Dan.
I saw a thing one time where she was talking about all the money she made, and she was just like, it's just unimaginable amount of money, and I never have to move a finger. I can just have someone move my fingers for me the rest of my life.
Well, that's not so bad.
Yeah, so she has like a big horse ranch. Yeah, worry not for her.
I wasn't worried.
Yeah, you were.
I was a little worried. You're right.
Because of how hot she was. She's very hot. Yeah, so it's kind of like... Yeah, that's sort of the issue with this movie. If you really want to get its issue, that's its problem, is it's just a pile of stuff.
Yeah, but it's cool stuff.
I found that charming.
Yeah, it's a hodgepodge, but like it's a lot of fun ideas just thrown in there. Listen. All right, anyhow, let's talk about it.
So the bad guy has a whip. The monks all have their tongues cut out so they can't talk.
Yeah.
They go up there, they find the statue, and looks over, sees the medallion, gets the medallion, comes down, and she opens the suitcase, and this little beep, 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 beep. It's just so corny, and I loved it to death. I was like, this is the stupidest, corniest prop in the world. I love it. And then she takes off her mask, and it's a woman. And I did not guess it was a woman at all.
Yeah, it was good. It was like, oh, cool, badass. Again, what a moment.
And it was a solid moment. Like, I was surprised. Typical person in black with a whip. It's going to be a dude. No, it's a woman.
Yeah, great.
And if you're going to complain about this movie, complain about how we wanted more of her.
Sure. Yeah, she was cool.
So now we go to New Angeles after the quake. Everything has like these big blowers, these big fans on the top of the building. Yeah. Then there's all these supports, and then what? These quakes are always happening, and people are having to jack up their houses.
Yeah, you're pumping up your roof so it doesn't collapse. Like I love this. I thought it was so cool. And then they do the commercial with Jack-O-Matic or whatever. And I was like, this is A+ material. I don't understand.
Yeah. And we meet the bad guy Kogashuko, who's played by what's his name?
Robert Patrick, with the coolest frosted tips of the 90s you'll ever see. Dope.
And considering after T2, he just comes in here and is so corny.
Yeah.
And it seems like he's enjoying himself. And
I have to imagine he was having a blast. Like, especially was this how long after T2 was this? Because he's so serious in that movie.
I think this was his movie right after.
And they hardly let him talk in that movie. Like he's all here, which is great. So when he comes in here and he's just like quip, stupid thing, quip. I was digging it.
But I think that's probably another issue they had, is like it wasn't who they were like, he should be cold, he should be steely, he should be but that's what happens, right? In Hollywood.
I guess.
And everything he did after this for a long time was probably absolutely Terminator 2.
Probably.
Steely, angry.
Stupid.
Glom, glom, glom. So we meet Jimmy and what is their names? Jimmy and Timmy.
Billy. Jimmy
and Billy. And they're at like a tournament. And instantly there's fighting. And I was like, action. What Street Fighter never had? Are all the action scenes incredible in this movie? No, but there's actual fighting, which never happened in Street Fighter.
When they let Mark, I don't know how to say his last name, Dacascos, when they let him like actually do some fighting, it's awesome. And then, and then we cut to Scott Wolf. And and it's less exciting. But
then you get to Alyssa Milano, where you have to do special shots to let us not see what she's doing.
Overall, I enjoy, because they kind of let Mark do some cool scenes, and then they kind of made Scott do like the jokes. His battles were always like, he did the classic, like, oh, look, what's behind you? Like that sort of stupid thing. And I like that. I think that was a good way to kind of cover that he's maybe not the greatest fighter in the world.
Yeah. You work with what you have.
Exactly.
And of course, the Scott Wolfkirk, wait, is he Jimmy or is he Billy?
He's Billy.
Billy does something, he cheats or does something dumb, and they get DQ'd.
He jumps on the guy's back and gives him a noogie in the middle of a karate tournament. Hilarious.
Doing the Three Stooges. So he does a Three Stooges bit, and you're like, he's like, they set up that this is going to be sort of the thing. It sort of never is, but you're like, okay, that's fine.
It's silly fun.
It's silly fun. Yes. Then we have the Jack City commercial. Totally hilarious.
So
very
good.
silly.
So good.
Then we have the news being read by George Hamilton and Vanna White with Andy Dick doing weather. Andy Dick doing the weather was the greatest thing ever. Yeah. And yes, if you're going to criticize this movie because we don't ever have another scene with Andy Dick doing the weather.
Yeah. I mean,
it was hilarious.
I totally get that, but the fact that it's there is such a treat for me. Like, what a random, all of a sudden you turn, it's Andy Dick doing something. I was like, what is going on?
He's wearing a little vest that has clouds on it. I'm just like, this is a movie people hate.
I don't get it. I'll never understand it. But what's weird is, as a kid, I remember not liking it, because I definitely saw it as a kid, and I was like, this isn't my movie, which is why I never saw it again until last night, and I feel like an idiot. It's
interesting, it's something that's, like I said at the beginning, it's a piece at a time. Yeah, and it was just, it exists. It came in at the wrong space for the wrong audience, and you as child was, how old were you in 90? How old were you in 94?
I was 9 years old.
9 years old. This should be a 9-year-old's dream.
I should have all the toys. I don't even know if they made toys, but if they made toys, I should have them, and I should play with them in my basement. Oh, what an idiot I was.
You are.
Mortal Kombat was the best.
So then we do a whole bit where gangs rule the night. So basically the police patrol all day, and then the gangs come out at night. What a cool and thing. You're on your own.
And it's like they call it the truce or whatever. So like they know not to cross that. This world building is amazing to me. I would have loved a sequel to this movie, to be honest. Like, I want to live in that world a little bit longer.
So they're driving home, and they're in this station wagon with a rocket on the back.
Yeah.
They have to literally reach out and grab trash and throw it in like the incinerator to keep going.
Great stuff.
And of course, I'm immediately reminded this is a Ghostbusters ripoff. Yep. Their vehicle's 100%. A ripoff of Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Looks just like it.
But in the back, there's a rack of tires, like used tires, in case they get a flat. But like, not just one, there's like 7.
Well, because Dan, listen, there's probably spikes in the roads from the gangs, and they probably, they aim for tires because they want to strand you. So it's great. The attention to detail in this world, great stuff.
All sorts of fun little things like that. So they're like, oh, there's like a hot girl having car trouble. So like, pull over. And you're like, don't do it. It's a guy.
It's a bad idea, man.
It's a guy. We know it's a guy. It's a guy in a wig. And then all these clowns run out.
Which was great.
And that's another aspect of this movie, is they're totally ripping off whatever the gang movie in New York is. Come out to play, Warriors.
Oh, Warriors. Yeah.
So they do the whole Warriors thing. So there's cowboy gangs, there's postman gangs, there's British schoolboy gangs. It's just hilariously stupid. But it's hilariously stupid.
And not only that, but I love that they went, like, the clowns have weird glove hands. Like, you can't do anything with those. You can't fight. You can't hold a weapon. I love it. I think it's so good.
So they take off. Oh no, they blast the clowns. Then the people that are trying to get them are the Mohawks,
Yeah.
which are led by Boa Bobo, which I
Abu
love.
Bobo Boo. Abu
Boa Bobo. And then they pull out the computer, and the computer says you got to pay them $50.
There's like a system which you can it tells you who this person is. You can like look them up and like check out their rules. It's it's a bio. It's a character bio. I loved it. It was so good.
So absurd. You're like, whatever. So they take off. They hit the afterburner, and then they're having to reach out and get more trash. And then they finally try to escape by sticking a Cheese Whiz can in there, which gives them a big burst of speed.
Because they had a bunch of some sort of gas. He read. My favorite part is that Scott Wolf is like reading these gases, and we watch it with subtitles because my wife is there, and the words that he was saying were not matching the subtitles, and the subtitles looked like real words, but what he was saying was like close. Was like instead of like nitrous oxide, he would have said something like nitricide, and I was like, what's happening? I don't know if Scott Wolf doesn't know these words or if like it was I don't even know. It was great though.
So they go down this alley to a dead end. Boa Bobo comes in, and it gets your classic thinner and thinner, and then he like crashes, and then he's doing the get out with there's the one weird guy, who's like is sort of his hype man,
crazy laugh guy,
sort of based on the Escape from New York guy.
Oh sure,
who's like the guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah.
So he's like doing a thing, and then they start coming, and then they turn around, and then we see they turn around because Power Core has shown up.
The Power Core.
And there's like this great scene that they don't do just right, where they're wearing these jackets that are covered in graffiti, and then they're turned around like in disguise, and they turn. You could have shot that really well, and it would have been like a great reveal.
Really cool, but as soon as they cut to it, you can tell that the shapes are theirs. So I don't know if the angle was wrong or what, but you blew it. You blew your shot, guys.
But these jackets are super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're really great. And then we have Alyssa Milano in like her super short haircut, bleach blonde. She's gorgeous. Oh my God.
And she's got just a crazy outfit. I'm not even sure what parts are cloth and what parts are skin at some points. It's very confusing, but I'm into it.
Well, she's wearing like short jeans, like cut off jeans. And then she's wearing like stockings.
Oh,
then there's stockings under there down that are holding on to like leggings or stockings in her legs. So
it's very confusing.
Her upper thighs are revealed,
but everything else is covered on the legs. Yeah.
And then she's wearing a really tight green T-shirt. Yeah. And it was funny. Another one of the YouTube videos is just all the sexy scenes of her through this movie. It's like 2.5 minutes to music, and I'm like. And then there was this. Right after that, there was another movie that she was in with Jerry O'Connell and Ryan Reynolds.
Really?
Oh man, I looked it up. It looked so terrible.
Okay.
So terrible.
But that's such a great cast.
It's about a dude who has to grow up. It's because his girlfriend's like, you need to grow up. It's Jerry O'Connell and his best friend is that, and then Alyssa Milano plays a stripper. So this was another video that the dude had made of all the sexy parts of Alyssa Milano, and that one, and I guess she becomes his girlfriend.
Someone's got a little bit of a crush on Alyssa Milano, it looks like.
Little bit of a crush. After this movie. Get the spray can. Yes.
Like a cat? Like you're a cat?
Just like I'm a cat. So Power Core, I don't know what Power Core is exactly. It's a bunch of kids.
They're the defense in the night, it seems like, or something. I don't know. Or a safe haven maybe at night. Because they have a cool hideout again. Kind of like the Shack movie. Just like a super cool hideout that I want to live in. It's got an arcade. It's cool.
And they have a whole thing And there's all these kids in there, and they have the big battle, and then all the little kids just disappear.
Well, yeah, because somehow safety it's adults first. We noticed that as well.
It's like, why you're showing us a bunch of like 7-year-olds? Yeah. These 7-year-olds are not going to be part of the fight.
No, and then they're not. They're gone. They leave. I don't know. There's obviously like a cellar door that they can just sneak down into.
So Jimmy and Billy and what's the girl's name? I wrote it down when she dies.
Oh, the maybe kind of mom person.
Yeah, she dies at some point.
Yeah.
She has a name.
Now, who was she? I was kind of confused because they said that she's the legal guardian at one point. Like, I think the cop said it, and I was like, what does that mean? Does she just like kind of take them in, these two possibly teenage boys? I don't know, because they're definitely in their 20s, but like maybe they're teenagers. She's probably in her 30s. I don't know. I don't know, man.
Legal guardian. Who knows? And then we just get the whole legend of the double dragon. And she's like, does she give it to Scott at that point? I think she does. I think she gives maybe
maybe he always had it. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Scott gets it at some point.
At some point. And there was a good Jimmy's underwear joke in there. I don't remember what it was.
I didn't write it down, but I bet there was.
Good underwear joke. So why did I write down that? The villains know everything. They have like this secret basement full of like carcasses, zombie carcasses, and then they bring in Boa Bobo, and then they're gonna like mutate him.
Yeah.
I wrote Madonna and Tom Arnold. Didn't Madonna and Tom Arnold get married? Is that a joke?
They got divorced. They got divorced on the news. They were like, Madonna splits from Tom Arnold, and I was like, what? What are you talking about? No way Tom Arnold can get that. Not a chance.
It seems not. So then we do a whole sort of thing. It turns out Marion like goes home, puts on a wig. We get the little brother, I'm going to tell dad. And she's like, or unless you give me money. And she's like, no. And they says $5. She's like, no. And he's like, okay.
So yeah, he basically just was like, you're right. This is a silly game. I'll see you later. Why? I don't even understand why she has to put on a wig. Like, you can't just wear your hair the way you want to wear your hair? I don't know. Your dad sounds like a jerk. It's not like you're getting crazy tattoos, which I'm against. But anyhow, I don't like tattoos.
What does that have to do with anything?
That would be if I had a kid, that's my one rule. It's like, don't get a tattoo till you're 18 and you can make a real decision.
And when you have a kid, I'm going to give them a voucher to get a tattoo when they're 9.
One free tattoo. Here you are.
So her dad is the police chief, and then she does a fight for your beliefs, and she's all like, I'm fiery. Like, good.
She is. Yeah. Yeah. She's got convictions, and I appreciate it.
Yes. So the bad guys just show up at the theater where Jimmy and Billy, in this great scene, I think they even knock on the door.
Yep, they for sure knock because they answer. And he's like, you've got something that belongs to me. I don't remember what he says, but something
more
like
importantly, everybody takes off their sunglasses at the
same time. Great moment.
I've never seen that. Have you seen that before?
Not before and not after, because for whatever reason, people didn't like this movie. It should have been huge. My friends and I should have gone to school and like sat in the classroom, and then the teacher would be like, take off your glasses in class. And we'd all be like, whoosh, at the same time, and she would have been blown away.
So we begin the big fight in the theater. Immediately, we kind of split up. One of them's going up scaffolding. One of them's going this way. I did not write a lot down about this because it was a fun fight scene. It was enjoyable. Once again, at one point, there's a gumball machine. They kick it out. The gumballs go down. The guys slip on the gumballs. This other video I was watching, that was his first thing to show that this is a bad movie.
What?
Is that because it's corny.
Of course it's corny, but it's hilarious. What an idiot. Does he also not like Home Alone because they slip on micro machines? What an asshole.
And that's sort of the whole thing. This is the more corny version of Home Alone. I saw it and I was an adult, and paint can in the face was funny, but at a certain point you're kind of like, okay,
these guys are dead.
We get it. This is this is not real. This is just a cartoon. Yeah. And it's, and I was like, this is not really for me. And I don't think I saw any of the other ones after that.
There's a bunch of them.
Yeah, there are a bunch of them. So big old fight. And then Bobo shows up and he is on steroids. And he is
I don't think that's what happens when you're on steroids, Dan. I've seen Schwarzenegger. He doesn't look like that. I'm kidding. Well, Arnold, if you took steroids, I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't want to spread that rumor. I don't want him to come back and hit me.
We don't know. So he shows up. Oh, yeah. Also, Kageshuko engages the medallion and he turns into this evil shadow that can go around.
Which I don't totally understand the rules sometimes because, I mean, we'll save it.
I mean, the rules are he can sort of fly around. He can inhabit a dead body. Yep. He can inhabit a live body.
Great.
He can also grab you and choke you to death.
Sure. So, but
it's pretty powerful.
It's great. It's super powerful. But at one point, he gets sucked into a fan. That's where I got confused.
Yeah, they wanted to have like something you could do to him.
Yeah, no, it's cool, man. I get it.
You can suck what's his name into a vacuum cleaner. You should be able to suck him into a fan.
Mac and me.
You could suck Mac and me. One of the greatest scenes of all time.
Yeah, fantastic.
I mean, this is a Mac and Me level. This movie, Mac and Me, great double feature.
I agree. Just great,
corny,
good time all the way.
Corny, good fun. So, what I wrote, Shadow Escape. Oh, he flies out as the shadow and then goes across the piano keys. Someone goes across the piano keys as they're running away or moving.
I don't remember that, but that sounds great.
It was great. It was like, how great to show the progression across the room. I'm like, wonderful. And then they start a fire. Oh, he gets into the girl, and then they start a fire. They lock her in the cage. Oh yeah, they're fighting her.
Yeah.
They lock her in the cage. Then the bad guys start a fire, and she can't get out of the cage.
Which is confused. Don't they live there? So who has the key to the cage? If they don't have the key, I imagine nobody has a key to this cage, and then it's just a weird cage in your house. I don't know.
Weird cage in your house.
But it's fine. It's all good.
That's a theater you live in. Who knows? Satori. That was her name.
Oh, nice. Good.
And then there's like a big explosion. She dies, and the bad guys just get into the car and drive away.
Just don't even. Yeah, they're just like, all right, that was pretty good. Let's get out of here, guys. We'll come back for the medallion.
We'll figure out the medallion later. And that's, and that's the whole thing is if you look at any movie, you'll find like these big logical consistency holes. Well, why don't they just then continue the fight after the guy,
Sure.
But when you're making a movie, there's only so much time you can do to make shots where like, your good guys escape down the sewers or do this thing that's smart. At a certain point, you just cut your losses and you're just like, let's just have the bad guys drive away.
Right. Well, it's fine. Don't worry about it too much.
They killed a person.
Generally, when we're making movies, and I make not a lot, but when I make a movie, they're generally pretty bad. And we always say, if at this point they're worried about that, then we've already lost them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. If they're already gone, like most people were with this movie, sadly.
You're not going to get them back with making this make sense this one time.
So now we have gang fight club where we're in this giant fight pit. There's things in the middle.
Yeah.
And then there's the big weird bald guy that appeared in lots of B movies and whatever.
He was like Hills Have Eyes was like his big thing, right?
Hills Have Eyes. I think he was the bad guy at the very end of Weird Science, wasn't he? I think he was one of the.
God, he might have. I haven't seen that movie in so long.
I watched it a while ago, and there was a guy like him. I don't know if it's exactly him or some other weird-looking bald guy.
Fair enough.
So all the gangs are, they've got all the gangs and all these big things, and then Kageshuko comes in there and just chokes the big guy to death as a shadow.
As a shadow is so cool.
just chokes him to death. And he's like, I'm in charge. And they're all like,
yeah, he is in charge, 100%. Don't shadow kill me. Great.
So meanwhile, Power Core digs out Boa Bobo from
It's
the
so weird.
From the thing, just because Bo's collapsed in the thing, and we got to get him out of there. So our plot choice is to just have Power Core
have them find him. They're just like, oh, here's this guy. Let's dig him out. And then when he pops, they either had to already know that it was a boba, or those are like the coolest, calmest people in the world. Because if I'm digging out a human being and that thing pops out, I'm running. I'm out. I'm bouncing the other way. That's terrifying.
So meanwhile, our boys are working on their car. Not sure how they got the car out from behind the thing in the dead end alley. Who knows?
Whatever.
At the ocean, and they're crying a river about Satori, which I'm like, great. There we go. We have an emotional
one of them's
moment.
Crying a river. The other guy's like, get over it. Jimmy's like, get over it. I was like, it's been like 4 hours tops. The sun came up. That's it. Like, maybe live in it a little bit, Jimmy. Sheesh.
Oh, Tony.
I do want to say that the skyline at this point is really cool. Did you notice it?
Which one is this? What did they do?
When they're sitting on the water, like the skyline in the background is this cool, like this really cool futuristic looking city. It was cool. It was awesome.
Yeah, they do a lot of things like that in this thing that are cool.
All for nothing.
Did you realize the Jimmy guy, that's the Iron Chef?
Wait, what?
He's the Iron Chef. Do you know who the Iron Chef is?
Yeah.
That show?
Yeah.
He's
really?
Iron Chef. That's what he went on to do. Oh, welcome awesome. To...
Good for him.
That's
man.
him.
Good for him.
I always assumed Iron Chef was a chef, but he's not. He's just this dude.
He's just like a cool dude. Like, I buy it. I'm in.
You're hired. You're a cool dude. Oh, then we need a plan. We ain't got nobody else. We got the ugly and homely joke, which that joke never landed that well for me, but
they did keep using it.
And actually by the last one, I was like, okay,
all right,
I don't hate it.
Good for you for trying. That's what I say.
So now we have the Hollywood River, and
oh my God, what a great moment when, I don't know if we're there yet or not, but when the river tour ferry later. Comes by.
We're almost there.
Oh, all right. I'll praise it in a minute.
Were they driving at this point? How did they get down to where they're going? Were they driving?
I don't know.
But we see the Hollywood River. The Capitol Records building is like destroyed on the edge of the river. Just a really neat matte painting. Really, that's the weird attention to detail that this movie has. It's these nice little throwaways that are all over the place.
That people didn't give a shit about. Like, these people put so much love and care into this movie, and people are like, I don't give a crap. You're an idiot.
So I don't remember where they were going or why they were going there, but they go there, and now they have to fight all the gangs appear because Kageshuko has put all the gangs together, and we get this big fight scene, which has some good stuff. There's some nut shots in there. There's clowns, school kids, postmen, mohawks, just everything. And they're doing pretty good, but there's just too many bad guys.
There's a lot of them. There's only 2 of them. That's tough odds.
So they run and they lock themselves in this shed on the ocean, on the river. And then there's like this super cool robot motorcycle. And they're like, we're like, oh, cool, robot motorcycle. And so Scott Wolf's character jumps on it and it just falls to pieces.
Just tries to kickstart it and it all just falls apart. Great, hilarious joke. And I haven't played the game in a long time, but I wonder if that bike is from the game. And that's like a nod to the game. I don't know. But if it is, kudos to them.
The thing I was watching, there was an interview and everybody said they didn't know anything about the game. Nobody from the game company came and talked to them. So maybe it is, but I don't think it is. But very funny joke.
Yeah, whether it is or not, I enjoy it.
But instead there's a speedboat. So they get in the speedboat and they take off. And this is once again where the production kind of fails because amazingly 2 jet ski people pursue them. And it's sort of a corny.
My favorite thing is they just kind of fall out of the sky. They never tell you where those jet skis come from. They just cut to a shot of the boat and then they come down from above. And it's like, wait, were they on land and they kind of like jumped on them I don't know. It was cool though. Whatever.
And they're just wearing black wetsuits and black helmets. So after we have all these colorful characters, these guys have like nothing.
But they're doing cool stunts, and so that's probably like safety gear.
Yeah, it's probably just two really good stunt guys, two pro
for sure.
So we get this sort of race, and then they have they shoot a big explosion off there. So I guess there was a huge explosion, which I guess they shot in Cleveland.
Poor Cleveland.
And then our boys crash right into a Hollywood sign,
which is great. Great stuff. The only thing I remember not enjoying about this movie is that their chase scenes are a little long. Like,
sure.
They take longer than they need to because they're not packing them with action. It's a lot of just kind of driving. So they're a little bit long.
And right.
Yeah, they're a little long. But other than that, it's solid.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So before they go on the chase, the sort of Mohawk secondary guy, looks through a hole and they poke his eye out. And then in the last scene, He's got his eye all bandaged. Very funny.
It was great.
Poke his eye out.
Yeah.
Boat chase. The Chinese theaters broken there on the side of the thing. Great. The Hollywood Riverboat Tour.
Which is such a great show. If you don't live in Los Angeles, let me just tell you that you will see those Hollywood Tour buses driving down the street everywhere. Like 50 times a day. There's so many people on these buses all the time. So this river tour cracked me up.
So, so that sort of ends. They sort of get away. They think that the bad guys think they're dead.
Because of the explosion. And then they jump into this river that's supposedly like toxic sludge or something. But then they're fine.
Then they do a bunch of diarrhea jokes, right?
Yeah. I heard if you get it in your mouth, you get diarrhea. And then they start spitting. So dumb. Quick, change the channel. So good.
So we need Power Core's help. So they're going to need Power Core's help.
Of course you do. You're only two people.
So back at Power Core, what's her name is feeding Boa Bobo her spinach diet to get him to talk. In one of the weirdest scenes ever. You'll talk eventually when you have to live on my spinach diet for a month. He's like, no, Boa Bobo.
It's so weird. I don't even know what to say about it, but
it's so weird. It's so great. And then the boys arrive. So they ask Marion to help them. There's like 2 or 3 scenes in this movie where they do this serious leering at her ass, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're both men.
Should we not enjoy it? Of course we shouldn't. As proud feminists,
in my defense, I didn't make the movie. Okay,
I didn't make the movie. But the person that made this movie was appealing to my inner 11-year-old, and my inner 11-year-old loved it to death.
My only other knock is that they show the guys' arms a lot, and I feel like that's supposed to be cool. But Scott Wolf has no muscle definition whatsoever, so it looks super weird when they do it. But Mark's got some nice. He's toned, man. He's got some.
Gun show. Yeah, like Dan Goodsell.
We're basically Scott Wolf and Mark. That's right. That's us.
I'm Mark. He's Scott.
Yeah, obviously.
So there's Kageshuko has like a mall building, and so they shoot at the inside this one mall, and then all these skaters show up. The Power Core skaters to sort of...
They're like rollerblading and skating through the mall. That's the dream, man. As a kid, that's what you want to do.
And so this was I compare this to Hook, where the skating was just on this little lame ramp that they sort of built on a
lot of this is in a mall. Way more fun. Way more fun than Hook. But it doesn't have that emotional core that Hook does that really got in here. The earworms got in here and changed my entire life. This movie didn't do that.
Okay, so they are... Yeah, so they're going to put a virus that's going to make the gangs turn on Shuko. Big hug of... Okay, what's all this? Trying to snake the medallion. Okay, so then they're in the roof. Are you frozen, Tony? No, you're not frozen. So they're in the ceiling, and they're like looking down, and they see the medallion, and then the police captain is meeting with Kageshuko, and then they try and like do the old steal the medallion.
It's another so super stupid moment. And I think my favorite part is is her name Lash?
Lash is like standing there watching it happen. She's just like, what's happening? They could have just easily have moved her 3 feet forward, and then it would be the action happening behind her. But for some reason, she's standing there watching the action, and then never says a word about it.
She does take a spear and like spear them in like 4 minutes, but like she watches it for a while. It's very strange.
She does. So then they go down the elevator shaft, I think. What happened with the elevator shaft? How did that all work?
Oh, they went down the elevator shaft with their bare hands.
They slide down the thing.
Which their hands they're gone. They have disintegrated. By the time they hit the bottom, they have nubs.
So they're then they're in the morgue, and then in shadow form, he goes down there, and then he inhabits the zombie of this big basketball player.
Which was that a real basketball player? I wanted to look it up, and I forgot.
I looked at the dude's name in the credits, and it was no one I recognized.
Okay.
So if he was somebody, he was a college player that I did not recognize. Okay. And so they drop a big door on him, and then behind the door is the convenient fan, and then he shadows up, which, once again, the shadow stuff was really good look. I mean, it was really interesting looking. It just felt interesting. So they suck him through the fan, and then I wrote the big hug of death. What was the big hug of death? Who got hugged to death? Oh, he takes over another zombie and he grabs Jimmy. Okay. And then they have to flee. So Marion and Billy flee, and Jimmy's like going to get killed. But instead of getting killed, they just lock him up.
Well, they have to get answers, right?
Answers.
Or something.
And then we learn that Kageshuko killed their father. Even though he doesn't say they killed his father, he gives the I killed your father speech, but he doesn't really ever say it.
Doesn't he say, like, just like your father or something like that?
He sort of implies that he killed your father.
But
he
doesn't actually come say,
I killed your father. And then later on, they're like, he killed our father. So the implication was true, and they take that the implication is true. But
at face value, who knows?
It's a little sticky. So Scott and her are back, and they're like, Scott and Marion are back, and they're talking, and they're about to have the big kiss, and then the gangs attack.
Have we talked about the special news report yet? Did you make a note about that?
No.
At some point within this sequence, this like kind of third act here, there's a cut to a special news report about the explosion on the river. First of all, they say the river exploded again or caught fire again. Like this is like a running thing that happens as the water catches fire. But the special report is done from channel 69, Dan.
Yeah.
Why? I laughed so hard for no reason. It's so dumb. But it got me. They got me good. Well, special report, channel 69. Hilarious.
I think there's like channel 105 too.
Is it just the most random? Like, who's assigning these stations? What are we talking about here?
So the gangs attack. So this is like the big attack on the Power Core's secret place. There's a "Who's the boss" joke in there.
Was there?
Yeah. Oh yeah. One of them. Somebody comes up and is like, "Who's the boss now?" Who's the boss joke to Alyssa Milano's character.
So good. I'm so bummed that I missed it. Idiot.
I wrote, Lash gets knocked out. She gets KO'd.
Yeah.
How did she get KO'd?
I don't remember.
It was like, so they're throwing people in the bad water.
Yeah.
And then Bobo's up in like a bathroom and he starts crying and he's like feeling all of his pain. It's kind of cool. And now fake Jimmy comes in. So what's his name has possessed Jimmy.
Ghost
so Jimmy comes in. I didn't take a lot of good notes at the end of this whole thing.
The only note that I think I wrote was that at one point Jimmy kicks through a Double Dragon arcade game.
Yes,
and
he
I
does.
was like,
he does kick through.
Great stuff. Love that.
Yeah,
great joke.
So Jimmy and Billy are fighting, which I guess is something in the game, right? The boss at the end is your brother.
Yep, 100%.
So there it is. They did a game element in this movie.
We should write YouTube comments on that guy's video.
I was going to say this stupid movie because that's what I always say in this stupid movie.
It is stupid. It is stupid, but it's fun.
It is a stupid movie. It doesn't make you want to kill yourself. No, it
doesn't.
They're fighting, and then I think I figured out how you actually engage the medallion. Is he rejects it?
Correct. Yeah, he throws it. He's like, "You stupid thing! You don't even work!" And then he throws it away, and then it zips right back to him.
And then,
is it because like you're only worthy if you don't want the power?
Bingo.
Interesting.
Bingo, bango,
this is
bingo.
Deep stuff, man.
So then the fight continues, and that's how do they get the second medallion? How do they get?
It's at some point. It just for whatever reason I remember it just literally falling at some point. Like there's not. I could be wrong, but I think it just literally falls out at some point. I don't know.
He does something. He makes some little mistake, and so they get they get both medallions, and then they're standing there, and they go like, "It's time." They say something really funny, like "It's time."
Well, he says, "Oh shit," and they go, "You said it," and then they click them together.
And it's really funny. Like right after you mentioned this movie, I went on and I like just jumped to sort of different couple spots, and that is the exact spot I jumped to, and I was like, I'm going to enjoy this movie because this is good. It's so corny that when they didn't do it, and then they kick his ass.
Then they get those cool.
They turn the generator on.
Those cool outfits too.
Those outfits were so lame, but it was so funny because
you don't like the diamond-studded karate gi.
They're so terrible, but they make a bunch of comments about how lame they are. He's like, yeah, I'm never wearing that blue. He's like, you don't like the blue?
It's so good. It's great stuff.
So they have a big fight. Stop hitting yourself. I don't know what that is. Destiny. And,
he inhabits the bad guy and like starts doing the quit hitting yourself. Great stuff. Great 90s joke.
Oh, and then the police arrest Shuko. Power Core has fixed up the Dragon Wagon for like for Double Dragon 2. It's going to be beautiful.
So bummed.
And then Bobo wants to drive for no known reason. And then for Scott Wolf's character somehow in the back for no reason.
They think it's Scott inhabiting Obodobo, but then he pops up. Odobodobo. What? Odobodobo. Obodobo. And he pops up, and then they like all just look at him and scream. Like it's so good.
And then they race off, and then we see the two henchmen. One's holding a sign, "Will hench for food," and then the other one has another funny sign that said something about looking for someone.
Yeah, I don't remember what the other one said, but like, what a great joke. And then they kind of just like bicker as we pull away on a crane shot, and I was like, it's good.
They had no lines in the entire rest of the movie, and then they just bicker as they walk off. It's great. It's a great movie.
It is.
I mean, is it a great movie? It succeeds at what it was trying to do.
It's a fun movie. I had a good time. Movie. Stupid, yes. Fun, Definitely.
There are things in this movie I will think about from now on forever.
Right. Dan, I think we know what those are, Dan.
Well,
the blue karate gi. It's your favorite.
It's something to do with one of the characters. It's not the blue karate gi. Oh. Yeah, so it's interesting, you know. I mean, sometimes people make movies. This thing, yeah, it is a pastiche of Ghostbusters and the Warriors and you know, just sort of everything. Escape from New York. It's all this filmmaker threw in all this stuff. It's interesting because they had an interview with the dude who directed it, and he's like, he said that he'd revisited it, and he actually liked it a lot more than when it came out. And I'm sure that's the thing, is you make this thing that you think is fun, the kids are going to like, and then, you know, Gene Siskel's sitting up there going like, you know, this is not 2001, and you're like, why the hell are you why are you comparing a movie? I mean, not that he did that, but you know,
yeah,
like to compare movies on a relative scale, it's stupid. Like you can't do that. There are movies made by geniuses that are beautiful works of art. That is not this movie.
No, this is made by a bunch of idiots having a good time, and they crushed it. They crush it. It's hard for me to fathom as myself that just like a year later, Street Fighter comes out, and I adore that movie. But somehow this movie, I just disregarded because they're comparable for sure for me. This one's probably more fun than Street Fighter is. It doesn't have M. Bison, which is a knock to it, but still, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know why.
I did not find. I mean, Street Fighter, I thought was kind of fun. This thing I found much more fun. I thought there was a lot more, more things. I thought a lot of the jokes landed more, and there is action.
What?
There's actual fights. If Street Fighter had 10 minutes of fights in there, but they'd be like, "We're setting up for fight."
Nah.
Car crash through there. No fight. Sorry.
You're Didn't all have a fight under arrest.
Just have somebody punch somebody, please.
No. I mean, not in Street Fighter.
I'm not a fight guy, but it's like, if you're going to promise me fights in a movie, you sure as hell better give me some fights.
Yeah.
Not tease me right up to the edge and then
nothing.
You can do that once, but
not for a whole movie.
Oh,
but just wait for the third act, Dan. Yeah, I recommend this movie. I say watch it. Have a good time, man.
2 thumbs up.
Well, without a doubt.
Which the other 30 plus movies we've done, other than maybe Mac and Me, I don't think there's any movies that I would go back and revisit. Mac and Me, I'd go back and revisit. I can't think of any other one I would.
Yeah.
That I'd like, I always like, Gotti. Remember Gotti?
I try not to. I actively try to forget Gotti. That was when I didn't really understand the podcast, I think, Dan.
Yeah, I don't think we'd do a movie like that again if we had our choice. It's a kind of
No, it was too painful for myself.
Well, this is the point at the show. Any other final notes, Tony, for the listeners?
I don't.
Viewers,
other than the fact that there was a super sick 90s jam at the end of this movie, and we just kind of forgot to mention that, which perfectly encapsulates the whole movie. No, great stuff.
That's one thing. I won't say this movie is missing, but a thing that would have helped maybe is a few more popular songs or a couple of a couple of bands that were real that you knew that you were like, oh, okay, this is cool, to sort of lock it into the time period.
Yeah, the 90s. Yeah, it did miss that.
Yeah, and I mean that costs money and time and energy and whatnot. But
sure.
But God damn it, give us everything we want.
I mean, and if you don't, apparently we're going to shun your movie for the rest of time for no reason.
No reason. Yeah, it's like 8%, 13% Rotten Tomatoes.
No way.
No way. We say no way.
No way.
So this is the part of the show where we talk about something we like this week. I'm going to go first because
it's your podcast. You can do whatever you want.
I can do whatever I want. Tony, black yourself out because
copy that. Let me turn this off here.
Put a little clown emoji in where you are normally, and yeah. So I watched a fair amount of Raised by Wolves, which is Ridley Scott HBO Max sci-fi show. Which they spent a ton of money on this. I have to imagine
HBO Max is going for it.
Yeah, and I saw a couple things about it, and then I kind of remembered about it. I was like, man, I should go back and watch that. I think there's 8 or 10 episodes. I think I watched 6, and then I fast forwarded and watched the last episode. Really expensive, really good looking, acted pretty well, beautiful, super interesting concepts. I think they kind of go down a weird path where you don't really care about anybody at a certain point. You know, kind of like, I don't know if you've watched Prometheus and those latest Aliens movies.
I skipped Prometheus because it looked stupid.
It's kind of like all the newer things where you're like, oh, there's a bunch of interesting sci-fi concepts, really interesting looking, interesting universe. You know, I get a little worn out at a certain point.
Sure.
And, you know, but there's some stuff in there that's really great and really interesting. So watch the first episode or two if you have HBO Max, and then make a decision from there in your life.
I will.
Certainly some level of just, you know, feature filmmaking quality. Stuff. Now, does it bug you when people refer to stuff as content?
No, only because that's my whole job, damn. Like we're content creators. That's like my job description.
I was reading somewhere, and this person was getting bent out of shape because they were like, because they refer to it as content and not as opposed to like art or writing or this, that, or the other thing. As if content sort of emasculates the work in some way.
Well, I guess I hope no one from work watches this. But we use content because it's not any of those things. Like, it's not good writing, it's not art, like we're just producing content, just like screen filling stuff. So like I kind of get that, like YouTube videos were always kind of where content came from. It's like, oh yeah, that's content. So I mean I guess I understand what they're saying, but as someone who makes my own my Instagram content, you know, like I don't know.
So basically you're sort of backing that up where it's a company that's just like, we have to, and that's the whole thing is, I remember I always talk to people about, M. Night Shyamalan.
Sure.
And they're always like, why does M. Night Shyamalan keep on getting work? And it's like, because the dude produces.
Yeah.
You're going to give him X amount of money, and he's going to deliver to you a product on a date with stars of a certain quality, and you could put that, and whether you're happy with what he does and what his vision is, it doesn't matter, because he has proven himself to the money people and the producers to make the content necessary to appear at the time that it needs to appear at.
And I still think that people show up. Like, I don't think he's done anything that's like totally bombed, has he? I don't know.
Well, I mean, The Happening is a terrible movie.
But it still made money. That's what I mean. I don't mean like, is it good? Probably. I just mean, do people show up and watch this shit? I think they do.
Yeah. And so you're just going to keep getting work if you can work at that high level and be a level of success of producing content, because these, you know, that's a whole nother thing with all this things. You don't just make one thing. You might, if you have an HBO Max thing, you have to make 10 episodes, and 10 episodes might be too much of this thing, you know?
Yeah, I get it.
If you watch the Lost in Space reboot.
I did not.
Oof.
Listen, Lost in Space perfected it when Matt LeBlanc got to be a part of the franchise. And then I was like, that's all I need. We're out. Perfect film.
You did not like that movie.
I did. As a kid, I remember loving it. I have not watched it as an adult. Maybe we should do it for this podcast at some point.
Right down for Sci-Fi Month. Gary Oldman is the big black. Oh god.
Oh, I don't even remember. See, I don't even remember that. I just remember Matt LeBlanc being in it and being like, Joey in space. Great stuff.
Give us something you like this week, Tony.
Well, I think that it's kind of been a trend lately that I've been on a sitcom kick.
Oh yeah.
And so today is a new Netflix sitcom that dropped this week or last week, and it stars Kevin James, and it's called The Crew. Now, is it? So bad. It's not so that bad. How many episodes did you watch?
I watched like 1.5.
See, no, you got to get deeper into it because the first couple episodes are really bad. It's similar to the Big Show.
So, you have to let the show beat the soul out of you. And then
you have to let them figure out how to be funny together. That's what I think it is. Because
they're not.
They're not right away. And honestly, even through the whole thing, the cast itself is mixed. There's like a couple people on the cast that I am like, how did they get a job, period? Because they can't even land a joke. What?
Okay.
But then
names.
I don't even know their names. I think Amir is not funny, and then the driver is not funny.
Oh, the driver. Oh my god.
Right?
The driver's
so
terrible.
Bad. Good news, he doesn't get better.
Who's Amir? Is that
is the not engineer. What's the guy? The computer guy.
Sort of Jewish guy?
Yeah. He's like basically Gary Anthony Williams' wingman on the car.
Yeah.
But those two people aside, I think the rest of the cast is pretty strong. Kevin James, just right back at home on sitcom land. And it turns into something pretty fun. I watched it all in 2 days. I had a good time.
I will go watch the final one just to see.
Go watch the final one, Dan. Do your thing. Watch the beginning. Watch the end. Don't worry about the filling. I don't know. I had a good time. It's not great, and it's not a lot. I was reading reviews on it, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, this feels like a show from like the '90s or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely,
it is."
That's the whole point of it. Like you're saying that as if it's a negative thing, but if that's what you are looking for, it's great. It's like comfort food.
I'm kind of reminded, like Netflix's biggest movies were like the terrible Adam Sandler ones, right?
Yeah, they were big,
which everyone hated.
Not everybody, Dan. There were a couple of good ones.
Okay. Okay. Does Gary figure it out? Does Gary get going?
Yeah. Is it weird that I find him less funny now that he's skinny?
Well, you probably find him less funny when he's not going off at full,
Oh, for sure.
He's constrained by, a sitcom.
But he's got, by the end of it, he's got a lot of one-liners that are, I have to imagine, that were his and not the writing. Yeah.
Gary Anthony Williams we used to see him at Groundlings all the time, and he's one amazing. Of the funniest people alive. Him and Cedric are just
Yarborough.
They're just atomically funny people, and it's great that they both have had solid, good runs in sitcoms and been given some of the success that they deserve, because these are truly funny people.
Yeah, for sure. Last thing I'll say, Kevin James as a bald man, kind of into it. So I think it looks kind of badass.
What did I say about I was telling my wife about the woman, the bonus. Oh, it's like the woman, his assistant or whoever she is exactly.
Okay.
Who's the other woman? I don't know what.
Well, there's two like main women in the show. There's the boss
girl,
and then the office manager.
Office manager. It's like she's like Kat Dennings, but without the sexiness.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, for sure. I could see that.
Can we get Kat Dennings? No, you can't. Okay. Oh well, I guess you'll do.
Yeah, she's still funny. Not today.
So we're gonna. No, not to me. So we're gonna close. My problem with it is like I could see all the jokes coming. Yeah,
for sure. So the only jokes that sometimes you don't see coming are from Gary Anthony Williams. That's why I think that he does some of his own jokes. But in general, as sitcoms are built that way, though. You know, it's like set up, joke. And if you don't see the joke coming, it's because you haven't watched enough sitcoms or comedy. But like a good setup and punchline can get me even if I see it coming. Because I'm like, you nailed it. Great job, guys.
Good job. Good job, guys. So we're going to close out Video Game Month. It's been a fun month. We've done some terrible movies and some movies. Well, we've kind of gone from the bottom to the medium to the better.
Started at the bottom. Now we're here.
Now we're going back to the bottom. This actually is not a video game movie, but it's going to count because it's called Pixels.
Oh, okay. I mean, it is. It's a video game movie.
It's a video
Pac-Man's in it, so it's a video game movie.
Pac-Man is in it.
All right.
And Tony has not seen it.
I have not seen it.
I think this is one of those impetus movies that I saw, and I started to think about how movies are bad. Because you sat there and you sat there and were in a conversation about the movie being bad because this movie is bad.
Okay. Can't wait.
And it ties right into your thing because Kevin James is in this movie.
Kevin James. Isn't Josh Gad in this too?
Or maybe Kevin James isn't. It's Josh Gad. Maybe it's Josh Gad.
Know. Okay.
Ooh, I don't know if he's in it or not now that I think it's because Josh Gad, Peter Dinklage, Adam Sandler, the three main people.
I love Peter. And
Peter's playing, basically the Donkey Kong movie guy. They're doing King of Quarters.
Got it.
Basically, it's that bit.
Okay.
Because it's clever. We took this thing that's really interesting and then we made it into a bad Adam Sandler movie.
Something stupid.
But
all right.
As I remember it, the special effects in this movie are beautiful.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it's gorgeous.
Okay.
I believe all the special effects stuff in this movie is gorgeous.
Maybe it'll help me get by.
At least we have that to look forward to.
Yeah.
Any other new business or old business before we table the show?
The only thing, we're going to do another video game movie 4 weeks after April 16th because the new Mortal Kombat drops on HBO Max on April 16th. And the trailer dropped this weekend and holy shit, it looks awesome and so bloody. It's rated R, which is very exciting. And like in the trailer, Sub-Zero freezes Jax's arms and breaks them off. So I'm ready for this, man.
Oh, God. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing next month. Maybe next month we'll just start picking movies again.
Okay. Hey, you're the boss.
Yeah.
You're the boss.
I am the boss because this is my show and you're subservient.
I am the boss.
Who's the boss?
Who's the boss now? I can't believe I missed that joke in the movie.
Alyssa Milano.
Or is it Tony? Is that Tony Danza?
Tony Danza is the boss. Yes. Although I think the blonde woman is actually the boss because
Angela.
I can't.
I don't think I can do a Tony Danza impression. Oh.
Is there any difference between Tony Danza and the guy in Friends? It's kind of the same person, aren't they? Went to Tony Danza's house one time.
For like a party or like to drop something off?
Massage.
Wait, what? Was it a Tony Danza massage? Danza was handing them out?
No, I used to work for a company that moved artwork, and I think we went to his house. We used to go to his house every once in a while. I think I went there. I think I might have met him. I think I met him. I think he's super nice.
I'm gonna keep that. I believe it.
Yeah, 100%. I think he was like super nice. So this has been Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. If you like what you see, leave a comment. If you're the robot that decides what to be recommended, YouTube, we love you, Mr. Robot. Please recommend our videos so that they get seen by more and more people.
I do love Mr. Robot. Great show.
I never saw that show. I gotta watch that show at some point.
You should. Good.
I'm never going to. God, Rami Malek. He's in some new movie and he's supposed to be really creepy.
Oh, really? I want to see it.
Yeah, he's pretty creepy.
He's got those big eyes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's big eyes, small face.
Big eye, small face. Well, it's been fun actually enjoying a movie.
Yeah, what a treat. Not next week. That's the end. This is the last time.
Well, thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Hey, watch him!